and welcome to our podcast. There is a ghost in my closet. I'm Alice, and I'm joined with my other host, Carly.
Hi. Now join us while we dive right into what once remained deep in the closet.
Yes. Yes. So, do you want to tell the audience what we're going to be talking about today?
All right. Now, besties, we
Besties.
besties are going to be talking about the St. Augustine Lighthouse and Key West Lighthouse. Yes, she's going to be doing the St. Augustine. I'm going to do Key West, but she's going to be going first.
I would be going first. Now, my boyfriend is actually from Orlando, and I think he used to go to St. Augustine. Maybe it was St. Augustine. I thought so. I don't think he ever went to the lighthouse, but he's been there, and so I felt like I should do the St. Augustine one just because I know someone personally who's been around the area. But for this information, it might um be a little out there. There's a lot of things about this lighthouse that not everybody seems to know about. Like, for instance, did you know that its history draws back to all the way to the 1500s?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty old, pretty old.
There's a lot of
Um,
things that are pretty old.
like you,
Like, well, your mom's beautiful.
like, well, you're old. What's that?
Gonna.
I don't know if I want to.
Oh, goodness gracious.
No,
All right.
I really hope this episode brings you guys a lot of joy and a lot of curiosity because this has a lot of history to it. So tonight we climb 219 steps into one of America's most haunted lighthouses, searching for answers to questions buried by time, tragedy, and something that may still want to remain in the closet.
Yeah.
Anyway, not I feel like not a lot of people talk about like haunted lighthouses in their podcast episodes. We are finding interesting stuff for you guys, finding new things.
Yes.
So if you don't like it, well, too bad. So since we're going to be talking about the lighthouses, would you mind sharing what your experience is with lighthouses?
Okay. So I've only really been to one lighthouse, but I wouldn't say I had an experience with it. I never went inside because it was always closed
Yeah,
anytime, and we just would go look on the outside. We never
yeah.
went inside. The gift shop was open sometimes, but like the lighthouse, every time we went, it was closed. But I don't. I didn't really feel anything, but now thinking about it, I just felt this. Like I said, I feel like I was. I feel like I'm being watched all the time.
Yeah.
I just felt like something was there watching me, not like a family member or anything, just like something. But
Well, what's weird about lighthouses is that they were meant to like not really like they were meant for everyone else's light on the ocean.
to lead ships, to show ships, not to like hit the rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were there to kind of watch the ships and make sure they didn't crash and give light to the ships and stuff like that. I actually my experience with lighthouses, I used to, live up north. I used to live in Massachusetts. I lived in New York for a little bit. Um, but I never lived in Maine, but we went up there a lot. And we went to this lighthouse. I don't remember what lighthouse it was, but it was on the ocean. It was on the Atlantic. And not everybody can say they've been to an actual lighthouse. Like these things are actually pretty freaking cool. That's why this was a perfect episode for today,
yes,
for this week, because if in case you haven't noticed, not everybody talks about haunted lighthouses on their paranormal podcast. And yes, both of these lighthouses Sam and Colby went to, so that's where we got this idea to do these lighthouses. However, this is also just because I feel like not a lot of people talk about this. So, to dive right into it, tonight we climb 219 steps into one of America's most haunted lighthouses, searching for answers to questions buried by time, tragedy, and something that may still want to remain in the closet. Now, this information is going to be a little jumbled because there's a lot of history going down to St. Augustine Lighthouse. This lighthouse is beautiful, by the way. Like it's like really high up. It's got like white and black stripes along the tube of it. It's bright red. The house on the bottom has a bright red roof. It is very pretty. It is located in St. Augustine, Florida. Everyone knows Florida for its like inviting beaches and theme parks and everything like that. However, tucked under its attraction are the historical locations populated with ethereal relics of yesteryear. I don't know. That's a quotation by the website I got this information from, which is by U.S. Ghost Adventures. Now, the St. Augustine Lighthouse oversees the state's eastern shores. It sits about an hour south of Jacksonville on Anastasia Island, just across from downtown St. Augustine. So it's not exactly in St. Augustine, but it's more of surrounding the suburbs of St. Augustine. It was built in the 19th century. The structure gazes out over the Atlantic horizon and warns, basically just warns marine travelers that, hey, there's a beach here, don't come here. However, what's creepy is that it's not just a keeper of seas, it's a graveyard of memories, a conduit that connects what is with what used to be. Now, the striped structure watches silently over the shoreline. This lighthouse, what not everybody knows about this lighthouse, is it is not only a historical relic, it is insanely haunted. It is an insanely haunted lighthouse. Shadowy figures are commonly seen there. However, its long century history makes it a phenomenal specimen, as quoted by my little website here. Now, what is the story behind St. Augustine? The foundation of St. Augustine Lighthouse has been part of the United States history since before the arrival of the first European settlers in the Northeast. Now, as this lighthouse goes back all the way to the 15th century, I've stated that before, the Spanish admiral Pedro Menendez de Valles, I'm mispronouncing that for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was on an expedition to stop the spread of French influence before eventually landing in the northeastern part of Florida. Upon his arrival, and this is where the 1500s come in, 1565, predating any English settlers, the admiral prepared to push back against the French outposts that had been established at Fort Caroline, which, if you guys don't know, is now modern-day Jacksonville. With the French defeated, the Spanish remained in St. Augustine, seeing their presence as a deterrent for the eastern rivals. It was likely around this time that the first watchtower was built on Florida's shorelines. So, like I said, this lighthouse predates a lot of even just United States history. Like, this was way before the founding fathers. This was before any sort of English settlers, the pilgrims, things like that. This was before anything. Baptista Barazio scripted a map of the St. Augustine area, specifically the assault of Sir Francis Drake in 1586. Even before it was even a lighthouse, it was built for this purpose. Now, the British came and lost in St. Augustine. So that was the whole reason why Pedro even came, to kind of establish it as a Spanish area. Signed in 1819, the Adams-Owens Treaty transferred the ownership of Florida to the United States, knocking all other parties out of St. Augustine's progression and development. Before U.S. control of the vital Florida coastal town, the shores of St. Augustine were no stranger to shipwrecks. As the growing nation added more coastline to its map, it sought to provide the safety measures needed to ensure clear passage for the trade. Now, the efforts made by the U.S. government included a $5,000 grant to improve this tower. This tower was very important to the shoreline at the time because, like I stated earlier, this was one of the only lighthouses in Florida. Actually, I'm pretty sure this was the first lighthouse in Florida. This was the most expensive lighthouse of its time. The lighthouse welcomed its first keeper, Juan Andrew, the son of former Menacron servants to the New Smyrna plantation, which is, I think, a beach in Florida. We almost went there. He became the first Hispanic American to oversee any federal installation. He was later retroactively dubbed a member of the United States Coast Guard. He was keeper of the lighthouse until 1845, at which point an unknown keeper took over for about 4 years. And then Juan Carrera stepped into that position. Carrera is the first to pass away while in service of the original St. Augustine Lighthouse, marking the first documented death directly tied to the structure's history. The second was Joseph Andrew, another Menacron and cousin to the former keeper Juan. Joseph was the fourth lighthouse keeper. His reign was very short, about 4 years, lasting only from 1854 to his untimely demise in 1859. What demise, you asked? Joseph was refreshing the tower's paint job when the scaffolding fell. He fell 60 feet to his grisly death.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. What you say? And that's
Oh, like you want black.
eventually, with the tragedy of Joseph's death, a dark cloud overcame the lighthouse, and this was about to only enter an even darker period. This lighthouse is not just a lighthouse that occupies sails, conquistadors, a bunch of treaties. This lighthouse was the surface for instance, the Civil War. In the Civil War era for the St. Augustine Lighthouse, this lighthouse belonged to the Confederacy. The lighthouse posed a threat, signaling to Union ships the bearings needed to launch an aquatic attack on the Confederates. To even darken the waters, the Confederates concealed the lens and removed their inner mechanics, hoping to disorient any enemy vessels. Only 2 years later, at the end of the Civil War in 1865, the lighthouse was relit. Unfortunately, there proved to be an issue that brought into the question the lighthouse's future. In 1871, the U.S. government shared concerns that coastline erosion would eventually end with the lighthouse loss. Now, the Civil War was not the only war that happened due to the St. Augustine. World War II comes to the American shores. By the 1880s, low tide provided an awful time of day near the base of the lighthouse as travelers stayed in hotels owned by Henry Flagler. Oh my God. Okay, so this was housed as a hotel during World War II. The period of peace of St. Augustine ended after the Japanese Imperial Navy assaulted Pearl Harbor in 1941. So, during World War II, it was kind of calm, it was kind of quiet while Henry, coasted as a hotel. However, after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, the East Coast remained quite isolated from the conflict. But tensions rose in 1942 after the sinking of the SS Gulf America off Jacksonville's coast. So, as the threat of Nazi Germany came to the U.S. lingered, the air grew heavy and the lighthouse was dimmed. So it, again, was no longer operational during that war. Just as the light atop the tower serves as a beacon for passing ships, the accumulation of emotionally raw events tied to the tower's history. These specifically linked to the old Spanish structure are now a beacon for the spiritual world. So, like I said, during both wars, Civil War, including World War II, the lighthouse was used more as a hotel, hospital, not so much a hospital, more like a hotel.
Yeah.
But it was not used as a lighthouse. It was dimmed for a short period of time between the Civil War and World War II. It was relit. However, it was very unspottable. So throughout all this emotion and the centuries, it just kind of built up a lot of energy. Now, the echo of footsteps fills the cylindrical tower, their bellow growing as they reverberate off the 219 steps of the spiral iron staircase. Which, by the way, iron is a very, very common metal to use for spiritual work. So, the spirits that haunt this lighthouse just adds to more of the history. Over its years of operation, many keepers have tended to the St. Augustine Lighthouse. It is a very, very hard job, which, if you don't know, operating a lighthouse is not very easy. 219 iron steps. You have to go up, go down. Very, very exhausting job.
Leg day.
Death is not uncommon in any sort of lighthouse. Which if you look up seeing beautiful lighthouses, you're like, oh, I would love to live at a lighthouse. Someone probably died there. Death is very,
Unless you build it.
yeah, death is a very, very common thing to experience at a lighthouse.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So over the course of time, obviously, this house had many, many, many keepers. Now, I stated one earlier, Joseph Manicarn? Yeah. He was the first one to really die at the lighthouse because of how hard this lighthouse was to keep. It was really hard to keep a keeper of this lighthouse. However, it's believed that one Pierre Rasmussen, again, the best name, has decided to stay. However, it was due to reasons he would not expect. Pierre lived at this lighthouse with his wife, who he adored, but before his time as a keeper came to an end, she unfortunately passed away. The circumstances of her demise are unknown, however. He stayed at the lighthouse for a little while after her death, but eventually left a couple years later. He died far from where he lost his wife. Lighthouse workers today suspect that one ghastly apparition is Pierre, forever looking for his love. So that is also one other ghostly apparition appearing at the house.
His wife haunts the lighthouse. You'll see her like up at the top, normally just standing there. Isn't there
Pretty
like a
much, yeah.
meaning of seeing her or not?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of weird, like, depictions of like women seen at lighthouses. Now, this has not been the only death to happen. So far we have three. Three deaths associated with this lighthouse, even though Pierre didn't die at the premises. He still died because he stayed at the lighthouse for so long.
Yeah.
Um, Now, moving on to what happened to the petite girls. I think it's pronounced petite.
Petite.
Petite. Petite.
P-E-T-T-E.
P-E-T-T-E-E. Petite.
Petite. Oh, I thought you meant petite.
No. As time wore on the old Spanish watchtower, concerns grew over what would eventually be lost to the sea. So during this lighthouse, during the whole process, there's a lot of corrosion happening with the lighthouse because it's so old. Congress decided to try and make funds for a new lighthouse so the original could be swept away. With money in place, Congress tapped the superintendent of lighthouse construction to oversee the development of the new tower. The superintendent at the time, Hezekiah, moved from Maine to Florida, with bringing his wife and 4 children, Eliza, Edward, Mary Adelaide, and Carrie. Mary Adelaide is a really pretty name. The Petit children became known around the construction site as they often frequented it to play and pass the time. So, this guy was sent over from Congress in order to make constructions and new ideas for a new lighthouse. There's construction, there was a lot going on, and his children just like to play at the construction site because what else are they going to do? They're kids. Now, on one ill-fated day in July 1873, the Petit girls made friends with the daughter of an African American worker who enjoyed riding the cart as much as they did. Sadly, on their last ride down, the cart continued into the water, trapping all 4 girls underneath. Nearby, a young worker, Dan Sessions, watched the cart tip over the edge of the ridge and immediately ran for help. Despite his efforts, only the youngest petite girl, Carrie, survived that day. 4 children died that day from drowning. Eventually, following that, the construction of the lighthouse shut down, allowing the Petit family to return the girls to their hometown for a proper burial. They don't really know what happened to the African American girl that also died with them. But the clear pattern of children's feet running along the lighthouse catwalk may hold the key to an answer. So far, we have 4 children. One of the keepers that only kept it for 4 years.
Yeah.
Pierre and his wife. So that's 4. Well, if you include the children, that's 8. 8 deaths occurring at this lighthouse.
Sounds bad.
The good part is, however, there is absolutely no malicious energy whatsoever towards this lighthouse. So all of this energy from Pierre, from the kids, it's all pretty benign. However, if you go into this lighthouse and you experience a swift walk past you, that's probably one of the kids. They're known to do that. There's a lot of things that happen at this lighthouse. There's EVPs. You do probably an EMF reader on there that could really mess the energy.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that you can actually see Pierre's wife standing on the edge of the lighthouse. So probably a woman in white situation going on there. Like
woman in white with black hair, brown hair.
Yeah. This lighthouse is more than just a beacon of light to guide sailors on their unending journeys across the vast deep blue. The St. Augustine Lighthouse is a symbol of hope and resilience. Its legacy spans centuries of conflict and uncertain futures, including the Spanish to British back and forth control to the original watchtower. It has also been marked by powerful events, from untimely deaths to the threat of war. You can still go visit this lighthouse. Oh, so the hours of operation, so you can actually go and see this yourself, is 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. You can also get tickets at 5:30 p.m. every night to ensure all guests have an opportunity to explore the haunted grounds. Well, you can go explore this lighthouse. Now, there are certain things that you can experience while you are at said lighthouse. Let me see. All right. The most common ghost occurrences are hearing children laughing, giggling, running footsteps, children's voices, and sudden laughter. Some visitors claim to have captured mysterious childlike figures in photographs. There is a you can also experience a mysterious child in a blue dress. So, probably a girl. She's wearing an old-fashioned clothing, which is blue, sudden appearances over stairwells, and then vanishing when approaches. This is believed to be one of the petite daughters. However, there is no historical evidence identifying any significant apparition. Yeah. There's a shadow keeper. I'll explain. Many staff members and visitors report seeing what appears to be a lighthouse keeper. It is a man in period clothing. The figure stand and watch, just kind of watching, so kind of creepy, and a silhouette appearing near the tower. The smell of cigars. Many people believe that this is connected to whatever keeper at the time decided to smoke. Smell of tobacco and then, just strong cigar smoke. You'll hear a lot of footsteps up the stairs, and like I said, a lot of doors opening and closing. EVPs, EMF readers will go off occasionally.
Yeah.
And then the swoosh of, children-like energies. All right.
Got a lot of
I know. This is insane. This lighthouse has so much to it. It is actually kind of insane. Now, ending with the St. Augustine Lighthouse, we're moving on to Carly's story, Key West.
Yes. The Key West Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Now, standing tall against the tropical skies of Key West, Florida, the Key West Lighthouse has guided sailors through dangerous waters for nearly 2 centuries. By day, it appears as a picturesque historic landmark overlooking the island, but as darkness falls and the crowds disappear, many visitors and staff members have reported experiencing something far more unsettling. Whispers in empty rooms, footsteps on deserted staircases, shadowy figures appearing where no one should be. Some visitors claim they felt unseen hands brush against them, while others insist they've encountered the spirits of former lighthouse keepers still carrying out their duties long after death. Is the Key West Lighthouse simply a historic building filled with creaking wood and old memories? Or could something from the past still linger within its bones?
Wah, wah.
Tonight we'll explore the fascinating history of the Key West Lighthouse, the tragedies connected to it, and the chilling paranormal encounters that continue to make it one of Florida's most famous haunted locations. Wow. Here's a little bit about the Key West Lighthouse. It's not really much. It's like
Yeah, not St. Augustine that had a whole friggin' blog post about it. St. Augustine, it's so much like, oh, there's so much stuff that went into it.
I know you'd have to search up a lot about it if you want to know.
And I apologize for my information being a little scatterbrained. I did not organize it the way I needed to organize it, so that's my bad. It's okay. It worked out. It's fine.
Now, about the Key West Lighthouse. The Key West Lighthouse stands in the heart of Key West, just across the street from the famous home of writer Ernest Hemingway. Rising approximately 86 feet above sea level, the lighthouse has become one of the city's most recognizable landmarks. Today, visitors can climb the winding staircase to the top and enjoy panoramic views of the island and surrounding ocean. The lighthouse and keeper's quarters operate as a museum, preserving the stories of the men and women who dedicated their lives to protecting sailors from the dangers of the Florida Straits. But beneath the museum exhibits a tourist attraction lies a history marked by powerful storms, deadly shipwrecks, isolation, and loss.
Uh-oh.
No. There may be a little bit of history on the lighthouse. Of course, there is kind of like,
Yeah.
any place sometimes. Now, the history of it, the story of the Key West Lighthouse begins in 1825 when the United States government recognized the need for a navigational beacon in the region. The waters surrounding Key West were notoriously dangerous. Coral reefs, unpredictable currents, and violent storms frequently led to shipwrecks. The first lighthouse was constructed near the island's shoreline and quickly became an essential guide for mariners. However, disaster struck in 1846. A devastating hurricane slammed into Key West with catastrophic force. Storms surge overwhelmed the island and destroyed the original lighthouse. More than 20 people lost their lives during the hurricane, including the lighthouse keeper and members of his family. One of the most tragic stories from that storm involved the lighthouse keeper's wife, Barbara Mabritty. During the hurricane, she suffered severe injuries and lost several family members. Despite the unimaginable tragedy, Barbara survived. She survived that.
Wow.
And she did not have great injuries. Very, very bad injuries.
Yeah.
This was in the 1800s, man. I'm surprised she survived.
Yeah.
Her story did not end there. In an era when lighthouse keepers were almost exclusively men, Barbara Mabritty became one of the few female lighthouse keepers in the United States. She eventually took responsibility for maintaining the new lighthouse built in 1848, farther inland on higher ground. For years, she climbed the tower, maintained the light, and helped guide ships safely through dangerous waters. She became a respected figure throughout Key West and remained dedicated to the lighthouse until her retirement. Many believe her dedication was so strong that she never truly left.
Oh.
So she could be haunting that life.
Yeah, that's just known to be a common thing, is like with a bunch of like spirits who had such a tie to that place, they just don't leave.
Yeah.
So it could not be residual energy, could not be unfinished business. They just love that place. They want to do that. They didn't do that.
Now, life inside the lighthouse. Working in a lighthouse during the 19th century was far from romantic. Keepers lived largely isolated lives. They were responsible for cleaning the lens, maintaining the lamp, monitoring weather conditions, and ensuring the beacon never failed. A single mistake could mean disaster for ships navigating nearby waters. Over the decades, many keepers devoted their entire lives to the lighthouse, creating a deep emotional connection to the property. Paranormal investigators often point to intense attachment as a possible reason why spirits may occur.
Yeah.
And that right there. See, the thing is, with lighthouses, you have to sit there and maintain it every single day.
Yeah. Or it's not something that you just do like once a week or so.
Yeah.
It has to
you're
be
busy.
every single day.
Like you're busy
Yeah.
every day. So, paranormal activity and ghost stories. The Key West Lighthouse has developed a reputation as one of the most haunted locations on Florida Keys. Both visitors and staff have reported unusual experiences that defy easy explanation. Some encounters are subtle, others are downright terrifying.
Oh.
The ghost of Barbara Mulberry, which I haven't had
This lady's stubborn. God dang.
I'm just gonna say some women are stubborn. I'm stubborn.
I'm stubborn. I'm a redhead. We're the most stubborn, but god damn, this lady, I would not be that stubborn as a ghost. Honestly,
Yeah.
I might though. Who knows? You're just gonna have to wait and find out.
Hopefully, a long time now. The ghost of Barbara Mulberry, the spirit most commonly associated with the lighthouse is Barbara herself. Many visitors claim to have seen an older woman dressed in period clothing standing near the tower or looking out from upper windows. Witnesses often describe her as appearing only briefly before vanishing. Some museum employees have reported hearing footsteps climbing the lighthouse stairs when no one else is present. Others have heard doors opening and closing after hours despite the building being locked and empty. Paranormal investigators believe these experiences may be connected to Barbara's lifelong devotion to the lighthouse. According to local legends, she continues watching over the beacon in the grounds she spent decades maintaining. So her husband, a lighthouse keeper, and her family died, and she was the only one to survive.
Yeah.
And this is what kept her going until her retirement. It kept her going. I feel like it made her feel close to her husband.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's just sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. The shadow figures. One of the most frequent reported phenomena involves shadow figures. Visitors have described seeing dark human-shaped forms moving through hallways, crossing doorways, or standing at the edge of their vision. When witnesses turn to get a better look, the figures disappear. Several people have reported seeing these shadows inside the keeper's quarters, where many of the lighthouse families once lived. Some paranormal researchers believe these apparitions could be residual hauntings, echoes of past events playing themselves over time. Others believe they may be intelligent entities capable of interacting with the living. Now, unexplained footsteps. A recurring report involves mysterious footsteps. Staff members working alone after hours have described hearing someone climbing the lighthouse staircase. Sounds are often slow and deliberate. Step, step, step.
Oh, I don't like that. Quit that.
Step.
Stop.
Steps. Step.
I used to experience stuff like that at my old house, like my childhood house. Whenever, like, I think I mentioned this in the very first episode. Actually, there would be like children footsteps walking up and down the hallway and stopping right outside my door. It would be very deliberate. Like, it would speed up, but then get slower by my door, and then speed back up once it passed my door. Like step, 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 step.
This was slow and deliberate. Like it was kind of slinking up behind.
I know. I still have to sleep tonight, bro. I have a long day tomorrow.
So do I. As if someone's making a long climb toward the lantern room of these steps. Yet when employees investigate, they find nobody there. Some witnesses claim footsteps continue even after they begin climbing the stairs themselves, always remaining just out of sight. Now, cold spots and strange sensations. Many visitors report sudden temperature changes. Florida's tropical climate is known for its heat and humidity.
Yeah,
making these cold spots particularly noticeable. Because, like, Florida is.
I went to Florida visiting my boyfriend's family with him and his family, and oh my, there was literally not one. You go outside, you couldn't be able to breathe. It was so fucking humid.
Instant sweat.
Literally, I was sweating in the shade, probably sweating inside most of the time. Like it was bad.
Yeah.
I loved it, but it was bad.
Yeah. Now, people have described walking through certain rooms and feeling an abrupt chill that lasts only a few seconds before disappearing. Now, others have reported sensations of being watched, which I feel like all the time.
Yeah.
Even when I'm alone, it's happened. And creepy. But some visitors become overwhelmed with emotion for no apparent reason, feeling feeling sadness, anxiety, or unease while standing in specific areas of the property. Paranormal investigators often document these locations as potential hotspots for supernatural activity.
Yeah.
Now, voices in the darkness. Yeah, if I heard a fucking voice in the dark, I would fucking turn around and walk the other way.
Yeah.
And if it kept calling out to me, you didn't hear it. It's basically like the Appalachian Mountains.
You hear something? No, you didn't.
You saw something?
No, you didn't.
And
no, you didn't.
if it sounds like it's far away, you're already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're already dead. Yep. And there's electronic voice phenomena, commonly called EVPs, have been reported during paranormal investigations at the lighthouse. Investigators recording audio in empty rooms have captured what sound like, I thought I said art for a second. Faint voices, whispers, and responses to questions. While skeptics argue these recordings can be explained by environmental noise or audio interference, believers see them as evidence of spirits attempting communication.
Yeah.
Now, several investigators have claimed to hear disembodied voices with their own ears during overnight investigations.
Oh.
Now, the voices are often too faint to understand, but seem unmistakably human. Or maybe they
Or maybe they're trying. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, my information is long too, but not as long as hers.
Yeah. I know. It also took me a while to kind of organize everything in my brain because
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's been so hard for me to focus lately. Like, it's been working now. Organization. That's one from me with the rainbow organization. Something I can't do very well. Imagination. Me wishing I was good at organizing information. 'Cause normally I am, but this time.
Yeah. Personal experiences from visitors. Over the years, numerous guests have shared their own chilling encounters. One visitor reported feeling a hand gently touch their shoulder while climbing a tower. Assuming another tourist was behind them, they turned around only to find the staircase completely empty. Another guest described seeing a woman in an old-fashioned dress standing near a window outside the keeper's quarters. Moments later, the figure vanished. A museum employee reportedly heard children laughing late one evening after closing. Believing visitors have somehow remained inside, the employee searched the grounds and found nobody. Several paranormal investigators have also reported cameras malfunctioning, batteries draining unexpectedly, and equipment behaving erratically while conducting research on the property. Whether these events have supernatural causes remains a matter of debate, but the consistency of the reports have only strengthened the lighthouse's haunted reputation. Now, at the conclusion to all this, the Key West Lighthouse is far more than a historic tower overlooking the seas. It is a monument to perseverance, tragedy, and the countless lives connected to Florida's maritime past. The story of Barbara Harbrady, the devastating hurricane of 1846, the generations of lighthouse keepers who followed have left an unforgettable mark on the property. Are the footsteps, shadow figures, and ghostly apparitions evidence that some of these caretakers are truly alive? Or are visitors experiencing the power of suggestion with a place rich with history and legend? Whatever the answer may be, the Key West Lighthouse continues to captivate both history lovers and paranormal enthusiasts alike. And perhaps on a quiet evening when the ocean breeze drifts across the island and the shadows grow long, someone is still keeping watch for her tower.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was fun. Like, I don't know about you, but every single time I go to a lighthouse, I'm just like, yeah, I don't wanna, I don't know. Like, and I know what happens there now. I'm just
You know
like,
what we
no.
should do? We should go to a lighthouse. Like if we, like get bigger and we
Yeah,
have some free time, get travel down there, we can go
I
to
would, I would
lighthouse.
love to go to one. But just know, whenever any of you guys go up to see a lighthouse, just remember what all it takes that goes into maintaining said lighthouse. Someone probably died there.
Yeah, so don't provoke the spirits and
No, don't do any stupid shit.
don't be
No.
mean to them.
Yeah.
Because they had to go through a lot of shit, make sure a lot of lives weren't lost. But lives were still lost.
Their lives were still lost. Sucks.
Very.
Don't ever be keeper of lighthouse.
And if you
Keeper,
do,
that should be a title for this episode. Keeper of lighthouses. Worst job ever? Question mark? Doesn't sound very fun.
no, but it just depends on the preference. So if you do become a lighthouse keeper, be careful.
Please,
And make
be
sure
careful,
you
for the love of God.
Yeah, don't be alone. And also, don't do stupid crap.
Carly's general advice for this episode. Don't do stupid crap.
Don't do stupid crap.
Be careful for the love of God.
Yes. And if you do stupid crap, well, we told you so. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
But anyways, well, hold on.
And to think I almost got away with it this episode. I'm kidding. I love doing this for you guys. All right. So, what ethical life advice do you guys need to know today? As Oracle time begins.
Oh, two cards for luck.
Alrighty, you FR's got 2 cards today. You guys got the Fool and the looks like 8 of Swords in reverse. So the Fool. The Fool is normally what brings up new beginnings. And if you ever just kind of had a thought like, should I do it? You should. That's what this card basically means. It means new beginnings, possibilities, in a sense, spontaneous energy in life, pleasure, opportunity, those things. However, once you get to the Eight of Swords in reverse, it means self-limiting beliefs, inner critic, releasing negative thoughts, opening up new perspectives, self-acceptance, and freedom. So, what these cards are basically doing is kind of similar to what the last reading was. Like, you're kind of holding yourself back.
Yeah.
And this card is a reminder to tell you should not be holding yourself back. You should not be, if you have any sort of doubt in your mind about what you should be doing, these cards are telling you that you should. You already know what you need to do, so go do it.
Yes. Go do it.
Go do it. Go do it.
Be like Nike. Just do it. Just do it.
But yeah, that is Alice's Oracle time for today. With little disclaimer, I am not feeling very well this episode, if you couldn't tell my lack of energy during reading that episode. So I am not going to go any farther into that reading. However, if you guys want a personal reading done from me, my Etsy will be linked below. My Etsy is Alice Oracle on Etsy. So you can go ahead and look at that. I only have 2 listings up right now. However, you can also look up any sort of personification reading, and I will get that done as soon as possible if you guys would like a general reading. But yeah, that was fun. Yay. That's supposed to be very fun. I personally think that there's a lot of that goes into lighthouses. Like you said earlier, like these are not easy jobs at all. And you should definitely take lighthouse keepers more seriously.
Yeah, and take precautions.
Yeah, exactly. But as the lighthouse lights fade upon the cylindrical towers, you can still hear the footsteps and the cries and sometimes apparitions of these unfortunate victims and the keepers of the lighthouse. But next episode, we're going to be stepping into something a little bit darker, a little bit more demonic. We're going to be going over Amityville Horror House. A lot of people have been excited for this one. I definitely have, because this is dark. This is definitely darker. Like this not well, to put it like this, lighthouses are a beacon of light. Amityville Horror House is a beacon of darkness. It is very deep. It's very dark, and but also I feel like it's a little bit interesting for those of you like me who are a little intrigued by that sort of thing. Yeah. So the lights are fading on our lighthouse episode. If there isn't anything else you'd like to add before we close out on this episode,
Well, I would like to shout out our stuff.
As always, you can catch us on There's a Ghost in My Closet at gmail.com.
Yeah.
We also have an Instagram, TikTok, and Threads account. It's just at There's a Ghost in My Closet. And we would love if you guys give that a shout out. You send us any listener stories you may have, DM us, email us, however you would like to do that.
Or anything that you recommend us to do.
Anything, as well as I also, like I said, have an Etsy shop open now.
Yep.
Called Alice Oracle of Arcana. You guys really should check that out. My prices are also very low right now, so some promotion there. But get low. As always, I'm Alice.
I'm Carly.
And we'll thrill you in the next one. Stay spooky.